Continuing our video tutorial series on the new Google Sites, we're going to talk about pages and navigation for your site. So in other videos we've covered creating a site, themes, the insert tools. Now we're going to cover pages and, by association, navigation. So by default you'll have a home page for your site and you can fill that up with all sorts of content, but there will come a point where too much is too much and you will need to start storing content on other pages to better organize the information. To do that, we're going to go to the top right and it's going to say Insert, Pages and Themes. We're going to click on Pages and it will open up the interface for creating and managing your pages. Now, Classic Sites users, this is much more simple and quite a bit different than what you're used to. So to create a new page, we're going to look for this piece of paper with a plus sign and we're going to click it. Alright, it asks us what we want this page to be called, so I'm going to call this Resources or whatever the page name needs to be. And you can of course change the page name at any time if you so choose. I'm going to hit Done. Now we're going to travel to that page and it's going to give that page a header. In this instance, it has given the page a simple title only header. Now you can change the header for every single page. You can have a different picture banner, you could have a different color banner, however you want to set up the banner for your page. Alright, now ahead of time I've kind of planned out how I want my site to be laid out, so I have a couple more pages I want to create. So I'm going to say science, and you can see to make a new page I'm just hitting the add page button every time I want a new page, and we'll call this one math. Alright, now science and math are going to be sub pages of resources. That is to say, resources is the main page, but there's even more information available related to science and related to math. So to start building my navigation, I need to mouse over the little dots on the left hand side. It would be a set of 6 dots to get that 4-way arrow. Now I can left click and drag these around. So if I wanted to change the order of my navigation, I would simply just drag and drop them where I want them to be. And you see that a blue box appears showing you where it's going to set down. Well, that's good, but we talked about making science and math sub-pages of resources. And here's how you do that. You grab your first page and you mouse it up and onto the page that you want to be a sub-page of. You will notice that resources now has a blue line around it and a thick blue line along the bottom. If I release the mouse button, I can see that the little dot has turned into an L shape, indicating that science is now underneath resources. If I go over here to my horizontal navigation, you will see that resources has a little drop down arrow, and when I mouse over it, it says science. I can repeat that with math. And I can even reorganize subpage order if I'd like. To do that, when I bring a new subpage in, wherever that thick blue line is, that's where that subpage is going to show up. So if I wanted math to be on top of science, I would drop it there. If I wanted it to be below science, I would drop it there. And I can change that at any time, which is pretty cool. So, making sure we cover everything about pages, if I mouse over the 3 dots on the right hand side, that is an indication that there are more options here. There's not a lot of options, but we'll go over them. When I left click on the 3 dots on the right hand side, I can change that page to be my home page. Which will make our original home page just a normal page on the website. I can rename the page if I wanted to. We'll just leave it math. I can remove the page from the site, and this will actually delete the page. And I can hide the page from navigation. Now this is an interesting option because the page still exists, and the page can still be accessed through direct links, but it will not show up in the navigation. I can then show navigation and math shows back up. Why would you hide a page from navigation? Perhaps you wanted to create sub pages, that is to say sub pages of a sub page. Well, unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately, from a simplicity standpoint, new sites does not support sub pages. So I cannot have resources, subpage math, subpage calculus. I can't do that. So if I were to create a page, I could call it calculus. Let's hope that's spelled right. But if I try to drag calculus onto math, the best I could do is to make it a subpage of resources. I cannot make it a subpage of the math subpage. So what I might do is simply hide it from navigation and then link to it from math. So on the math page, I might go in and add a link that takes you to calculus. And that is another thing I wanted to show you. Once you have pages, if you go to use the insert link tool, there is a lovely little drop down here that shows you all the pages on your site. And to link to those pages, you simply choose it from the list and it will automatically create a link to that page for you. Pretty cool. All right, so that covers building pages, organizing pages, and by creating and organizing pages, you create navigation, and also how to quickly link to pages you've created. The last thing I'm going to show you is there is one other type of navigation. So while mousing over the horizontal navigation bar, if I travel all the way to the left, there will be this little gray gear. If I click on it and go to side navigation, it will move my navigation over to the left-hand side of my page. Now, this will not be visible to you without clicking on the little hamburger, which is these 3 lines right here. And that will make it fly out so that you could check out the navigation. If you want to see how it would look live, of course, you're going to hit the preview button, and that will show you how the navigation looks on a computer, on a tablet. It disappears and becomes a flyout, and mobile. And that's everything you need to know about creating new pages, navigation, managing your navigation, and linking to pages on your site.